First of all, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Rob and Sue and Hilary and myself, I'd like to welcome you all to this little soiree. And in particular, thanks that you've all agreed to put 10 quid in the box on the way out. We have to start with thanks. Wonderful day though it's been. I know it's been a wonderful day because I've been with it since 5 o'clock this morning. So thanks particularly to a very good friend, a very special friend, the Reverend Helen Letley, who you have heard several times today. She was the one at the front, right at the front. To all those people that have helped us, we've had a phenomenal amount of help. We've had phenomenal help today, we've had in the weeks leading up to this, and most of you have been involved in helping in the years leading up to this, so we do very much appreciate that. It only seems like a lifetime. We remember those that are unable to join us. Many of you will know that my mother, who's 95, is not up to much trouble these days. They took a skateboard off her. And, so she would have liked to have been here, but she does wish to be remembered to everybody, which will not mean a lot to many of you. And last but not least, all you good folk who've come today to help us celebrate these two very, very special people. But of course, these mixed emotions here. It's very solemn, and I thought I should share with you something that should set the solemn tone for the speeches, because I know Rich has worked very hard at his 400 pages. And just before we came here, I had to nip across the road to Tesco's to get some sandwiches for later. And it was quite sad because I was in the queue behind this little old lady, and you know how long it takes ages for little old ladies to get their shopping done. And eventually she was done. I'm thinking, thank goodness for that, we can get on now. And as she walked out of the checkout with a bag of shopping, and much to everybody's horror, she dropped to the floor instantly and was dead. And the terrible thing was, she just bought a bag for life. Anyway. You're not taking this seriously. So, the question is, what does one have to say? One has to say many things. I am a very selfish person. Many of you will know that, and especially long-standing friends, or indeed long-drinking friends. But I am a very special person. For those of you who were here just over a year ago when Kate and Ian got married, you will have heard me say it was very hard to let my daughter go, and it's even harder to let another daughter go. I'm now an orphan. And so, if any of you long married people out there can give any tips on how you actually do speak to your wife, I'd like to know. Because I'm going to have to do it now. But Janine, as most of you will know, we were saying what a wonderful mix of friends that we have here today. Janine, quite an interesting person, can't, like most people, pop into the world at a quiet time, really. She was born at 18 minutes past 6 on Remembrance Day. And it was Remembrance Day, so if any of you are wondering what to put in your diaries for a birthday, remember it was Remembrance Day. And we managed to persuade Her Majesty's government to keep it on the same date every year, so that you'll be able to remember this. And so there she popped into the world, and I know that Hilary's enduring memory of Janine's birth is watching the Royal Albert Hall and keep having to tell the midwives to get out of the way so she could see the television. 2 days in fact, I know it was 2 days afterwards, because Janine was born in the hospital in which I was working at that time, and I was going along after work on the Monday evening to see Janine and Hilary. And one of my shift guys caught me up and was walking on with me, and he said, "Oh, I believe congratulations are in order." And I said, "Oh, thank you very much, that's very kind of you." He said, "Yes," he said, "what did you get?" I said, "Well, I didn't get anything actually, I just," he said, "Oh, what was it, boy or a girl?" I said, "Oh, it's a girl." And he said, "You've already got a daughter, haven't you?" And I said, "Yes, I have." He said, "You must be terribly disappointed." And I'm pleased to be able to say honestly, I said, "No, I'm not disappointed in the slightest. I'm absolutely delighted. She's a lovely little thing, and I'm sure we'll have a wonderful life together." And boy, was I right. Janine, you see, has been the one, an archetypal second child, very much the second child, following along in her sister's footsteps, always want to plough her own path. With Kate, we worked very, very hard to make sure that we spent hours and hours deliberating in the toy shops, in the early learning centre, buying exactly the right toys for Kate so that we knew that she'd be playing with the right educational toys as things came along. And Janine just would not play to the same rules. So she followed along on her sister's coattails. I think Kate will probably say that Janine gets away with an awful lot more than she ever did, because that was her experience. But she'd always been one to sort out her own way in life. And my most, well, I mean, there's so many memories. I feel a bit nauseous now. Anyway, there's so many memories. But the one that really sticks in my mind is the day that she told me exactly what she thought of me. And some of her friends from school might know about this, but she actually came down one Saturday evening when she was going out to Canterbury with her friends, going off to meet her friends, and she had on the well, I say had on, she had the most interesting outfit. It was clearly a danger to traffic. And she said, "I'm going out now." And I said, "Goodbye." And she went out of the room, came back in, she said, "No, I'm going out now. I'm going into Canterbury now." I said, "Yes, I know, goodbye, goodbye." And she said, are you not going to look at what I've got on?" I said, "Well, I've seen what you've got on, off you go." And she said, "You're quite happy for me to go out dressed like this then?" And I said, "Certainly." And there was a large pause, and she looked at me and said, "You are an absolutely rubbish father." I said, "Why is that?" She said, "Well," she said, "what is the point in me rebelling if you're not going to pay any attention?" You just got it. She didn't go out dressed as she was, she went and got changed because it was no fun anymore. So Janine has managed to establish her own identity. She worked hard. She's different to her sister, and quite rightly too. And she ploughed her own path. She went off to Sheffield. Thank you, both of you. And her reason she chose Sheffield University was very carefully thought through. It had all the right courses, and she knew she could get the right grades, and it had the cheapest beer in the north. Probably still does, if there's any left. And so she went on to do that, and as you know, many of you know, she went through university quite well and had a wonderful year in Heidelberg. Thank you, Heidelberg. It feels like they were Eurovision Song Contest. You may wish it. No, never mind. So she had a great time in Heidelberg, and so did we. Great time flat hunting, and having found the flats after Hilary and Janine walked about 6.5 miles. Because they couldn't work out how to get on the bus. I found the flat, which was great, and so we took her out there, and it was at that point I was told that in fact it was an unfurnished flat. So a trip to IKEA was indicated. And you, if anybody needs any lessons on how much you can get into a Volkswagen Golf, just ask, because I can tell you. I think Janine, well, I don't know, you were sort of like that on the way back. Yeah. It was a bit crowded in there. We had in the Golf a wardrobe, a bed, a mattress, a side table, a desk and a chair, cuddly toy, conveyor belt. Well, we had a great time, but that time was a wonderful time. And then she came back, and despite her best efforts, the University of Sheffield awarded her a degree in woodwork and ballroom dancing. So, throughout all this, there was somebody in the, well, I won't say in the shadows, because we were well aware of where he was, but somebody in the shadows who I well remember saying, well, if you're going to university, there's no point in us carrying on seeing each other because it will never last. Unfortunately, he couldn't run fast enough. So, we get Richard. He gets Janine, we get Richard, so look it up. What can I say about Richard? It's very difficult, you see, because fathers with their daughters, there might be a bit of competition, you feel, with sons-in-law and the like. It's quite difficult to do, and the trouble is I'm getting the hang of losing at the moment. Richard is just right for Janine, like two peas in a pod, but better than me. He's creative, he's talented, and boy is he patient. And the great thing about this wonderful event is that it flashed through my mind as soon as Helen said, you know, you are now man and wife. I thought, oh good, I can have my brush back. And for those of you that don't know what that means, you have to find somebody from the north and ask them what living over the brush is. Because when they moved into their upstairs flat, one of the things I took along as a gift to them was a brush. And I said, and Janine said, what's the brush for? And I said, this is for your neighbour downstairs. And they said, what do you mean? I said, well, it's like a moving in present. You give this to her downstairs, and then she will know that you're living over the brush. But you've got to find out what it means, because I can tell by the silence in the room. So thank you very much for coming. We really have got... There will now be a slight pause. Was that the one about the old lady who got the Tesco? So really, there's not... Well, I'm going to say there's not much else I could say. There's rather a lot that I could say, but you're all nice people. And you need to understand what a wonderful day it's been. It's been hours in the planning. Well, about 23 minutes anyway, but it's worked out really well. I've got a beautiful daughter. And I've now inherited another wonderful son. Hard luck, pal. So that's where we are. So I can say no more really than they make a fantastic couple. I'm absolutely delighted. And I need you now to be, as they say, in gentlemen's toilets everywhere, please be upstanding. Raise your glasses. And join me in a piece of toast for the bride and groom, Mr. and Mrs. Poop.